to protect with courage, to serve with compassion, but it also represents the essence of the Minneapolis Police Department approach to the use of force against its citizens when appropriate. A sanctity of life and the protection of the public shall be the cornerstones of the Minneapolis Police Department's use of force. Compassion, sanctity of life, cornerstones, and that little badge is worn right over the officer's heart. But you're also going to learn that the officers take an oath when they become police officers. They take an oath that I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately, and as you will learn, as applies to this case, never employing unnecessary force or violence. And not only that, I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held so long as I am true to the ethics of police service. Symbol of public faith, ethics to police service, sanctity of life, all of this matters tremendously to this case, because you will learn that on May 25th of 2020, Mr. Derek Chauvin betrayed this badge when he used excessive and unreasonable force upon the body of Mr. George Floyd, that he put his knees upon his neck and his back, grinding and crushing him until the very breath, no, ladies and gentlemen, until the very life was squeezed out of him. You will learn that he was well aware that Mr. Floyd was unarmed, that Mr. Floyd had not threatened anyone, that Mr. Floyd was in handcuffs, he was completely in the control of the police, he was defenseless. You will learn what happened in that 9 minutes and 29 seconds. The most important numbers you will hear in this trial are 929. What happened in those 9 minutes and 29 seconds when Mr. Derek Chauvin was applying this excessive force to the body of Mr. George Floyd. We have two objectives in this trial, ladies and gentlemen. The first objective is to give Mr. Chauvin a fair trial. Mr. Chauvin has a presumption of innocence. He is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. We plan to prove to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Mr. Chauvin was anything other than innocent on May 25th of 2020. And our second objective, ladies and gentlemen, is to bring you the evidence, which I'm trying to preview this morning. We are bringing this case, this prosecution against Mr. Chauvin, for the excessive force that he applied onto the body of Mr. George Floyd, for engaging in behavior that was imminently dangerous in the force that he applied without regard for its impact on the life of Mr. George Floyd. So let's begin by focusing then on what we will learn about this 9 minutes and 29 seconds. And you will be able to hear Mr. Floyd saying, "Please, I can't breathe. Please, man, please." In this 9 minutes and 29 seconds, you will see that as Mr. Floyd is handcuffed there on the ground, he is verbalizing 27 times, you will hear, in the 4 minutes and 45 seconds, "I can't breathe. Please, I can't breathe." You will see that Mr. Chauvin is kneeling on Mr. Floyd's neck and back. He has one knee on his neck, and the knee on his back is intermittently off and on his back, as you'll be able to see for yourself in the video footage. You will hear Mr. Floyd as he's crying out. You hear him at some point cry out for his mother when he's being squeezed there. It's very close to his mother, you will learn. You will hear him say, "Tell my kids I love them." You will hear him say about his fear of dying, he says, "I'll probably die this way. I'm through. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me, man." You will hear him crying out, and you will hear him cry out in pain. "My stomach hurts. My neck hurts. Everything hurts." You will hear that for yourself. "Please, I can't breathe. Please, your knee on my neck." You will hear it, and you'll see at the same time while he's crying out, Mr. Chauvin never moves. The knee remains on his neck. Sunglasses remain undisturbed on his head, and it just goes on. You will hear his final words when he says, "I can't breathe." Before that time, you'll hear his voice get heavier. You will hear his words further apart. You will see that his respiration gets shallower and shallower and finally stops when he speaks his last words, "I can't breathe." And once we have his final words, you'll see that for roughly 53 seconds, he is completely silent and virtually motionless with just sporadic movements. You're going to learn those sporadic movements matter greatly in this case because what they reflect. Mr. Floyd was no longer breathing when he's making these movements. You will learn about something in this case called an anoxic seizure. It is the body's automatic reflex when breathing has stopped due to oxygen deprivation. We'll be able to point out to you when you'll see the involuntary movements from Mr. Floyd that are part of an anoxic seizure. Not only that, you're going to learn about something that's called agonal breathing. When the heart is stopped, when blood is no longer coursing through the veins, you will hear the body gasp as an involuntary reflex. We'll point out to you when Mr. Floyd is having the agonal breathing, again, as a reflex, involuntary reflex to the oxygen deprivation. So we learn here that Mr. Floyd at some point is completely passed out. Mr. Chauvin continues on as he had, knee on the neck, knee on the back. You'll see he does not let up and he does not get up. For the remaining, as you can see, 3 minutes and 51 seconds. During this period of time, you will learn that Mr. Chauvin is told that they can't even find the pulse of Mr. Floyd. You'll learn he's told that twice. They can't even find the pulse. You'll be able to see for yourself what he does in response. You will see that he does not let up and that he does not get up. Even when Mr. Floyd does not even have a pulse, it continues on. It continues on, ladies and gentlemen, even after the ambulance arrives on the scene. The ambulance is there, and you'll be able to see for yourself what Mr. Chauvin is doing when the ambulance is there. You can compare, you'll be able to compare how he looks in this photograph to how he looked in the first 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Same position, doesn't let up, and you'll see he doesn't get up. The paramedic from the ambulance comes over. You'll be able to see this in the video. He checks Mr. Floyd for a pulse. He has to check him for a pulse, you'll see, with Mr. Chauvin continuing to remain on his body at the same time. Doesn't get up even when the paramedic comes to check for a pulse and doesn't find one. Mr. Chauvin doesn't get up. You will see that the paramedics have taken the gurney out of the ambulance, have rolled it over next to the body of Mr. Floyd, and you'll be able to see Mr. Chauvin still does not let up, doesn't get up. And you will see it wasn't until such time as they want to move the lifeless body of George Floyd onto the gurney. Only then does Mr. Chauvin let up and get up. And you'll see him drag Mr. Floyd's body and unceremoniously cast it onto the gurney. And that was for a total of 4 minutes and 44 seconds. You can see here that for the first 4 minutes and 45 seconds, you'll learn that Mr. Floyd was calling out, crying for his life. And ladies and gentlemen, not just Mr. Floyd. You're going to hear and see that there were any number of bystanders who were there, who were also calling out to let up and get up, such that Mr. Floyd would be able to breathe and to maintain and to sustain his life. But then for the remaining 4 minutes and 44 seconds, Mr. Floyd was either unconscious, breathless, or pulseless. And the compression, the squeezing, the grinding went on just the same for the total of 9 minutes and 29 seconds. You're going to learn in this case quite a lot about the Minneapolis Police Department's use of force policy. What you're going to see and learn a lot about is what is the standard for applying force against individuals, the use of force policy. You learn that Minneapolis Police Department employees shall only use the amount of force that is objectively reasonable in light of the facts and circumstances. The force used shall be consistent with current Minneapolis Police Department training. What you learn, ladies and gentlemen, is that the use of force must be evaluated from one moment to the next moment, from moment to moment. What may be reasonable in the first minute may not be reasonable in the second minute, the fourth minute, or the 9th minute and 29 seconds. That it has to be evaluated from moment to moment. You'll also learn that the Minneapolis police are precluded, not allowed, to use any more force than is necessary to bring a person under their control. They can't use any more restraint than is necessary. You're going to meet an expert. His name is Jody Steger. He's a Los Angeles Police Department sergeant and a use of force expert. He's going to tell you that the force that Mr. Chauvin was using was lethal force. It was force that was capable of killing a human or putting his or her life in danger. The evidence is going to show you that there was no cause in the first place to use lethal force against a man who was defenseless, who was handcuffed, who was not resisting. That there was no cause to use that force in the first place. You're going to hear from Minneapolis Police Sergeant David Pleger, who's going to come and talk with you. He was the officer on the scene, so he arrived at the scene after this took place. He is going to tell you that the force against Mr. Floyd should have ended as soon as they put him on the ground in the first place, meaning that the 929 should not have been even a 1, much less the 929. And that went on for way too long. He will tell you in terms of the restraint on the ground and the manner of the restraint for Mr. Floyd. You're also going to learn about another very important policy in the Minneapolis Police Department that's a core principle of policing. You will hear this phrase that police have to live by in terms of how it is they relate to the public. In your custody is in your care. In your custody is in your care. Meaning that if you as an officer have an individual, a subject that's in your custody, it is your duty to care for that person. And you will learn that caring, ladies and gentlemen, is not a feeling. It's a verb. It's something you're supposed to do to provide care for that person. You are going to hear from any number of police officers who will talk about this duty to provide care. Officer Nicole McKenzie, who is the Minneapolis Police Department Medical Support Coordinator. You'll hear from Sergeant Kerr Yang, the MPD Crisis Intervention Coordinator. In your custody is in your care. You're going to learn that when Mr. Floyd was unconscious, that when he was breathless, when he did not have a pulse, that there was a duty to have administered care, to let up and get up. You will learn. You listen to Minneapolis Police Commander Katie Blackwell. No relation to my knowledge. But you will hear from Katie Blackwell, and she's going to tell you about the training that Mr. Chauvin received. You're going to hear that he was a veteran on the Minneapolis Police Department for 19 years, had been trained in CPR multiple times at the time. And you'll be able to see for yourself that when Mr. Floyd was in distress, Mr. Chauvin wouldn't help him, didn't help him. But you're also going to see that he stopped anybody else from being able to help him. You will learn that amongst the bystanders was a first responder, a member of the Minneapolis Fire Department, who was trained in administering first aid and emergency care. She's going to come and talk with you. Her name is Genevieve Hansen. She wanted to check his pulse. She wanted to check on Mr. Floyd's well-being. She wanted him to let up and get up. She did her best to intervene, to be able to act, to intercede on George Floyd's behalf, and you'll be able to see for yourself when she approached Mr. Chauvin on top of George Floyd with both of his knees, reached for his mace in his belt and pointed in her direction. So she couldn't help. She'll come and talk with you about that experience. Now, you're going to learn that in the aftermath of this, that Mr. Chauvin's last day of employment with the Minneapolis Police Department was on May 26th of 2020. The Minneapolis Chief of Police, Chief Arredondo, is going to come here to talk with you. He was the police chief at the time. He's the chief today. He is going to tell you that Mr. Chauvin's conduct was not consistent with Minneapolis Police Department training, was not consistent with Minneapolis Police Department policy, was not reflective of the Minneapolis Police Department. He will not mince any words. He's very clear. He'd be very decisive that this was excessive force. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, what was this all about in the first place? Well, you're going to learn that it was about a counterfeit $20 bill used at a convenience store. That's all. You will not hear any evidence that Mr. Floyd knew that it was fake or did it on purpose. You will learn from witnesses we will call that the police officers could have written him a ticket and let the court sort it out. You will learn that even if he did it on purpose, it was a minor offense, a misdemeanor. So in terms of the charges that we are bringing, we're going to prove to you that Mr. Chauvin's conduct was a substantial cause of Mr. Floyd's death. We've charged him with murder in the second degree, murder in the third degree, and manslaughter for using excessive force against George Floyd. You will learn that the use of excessive and unreasonable force against a citizen is an assault. In this case, we will show you that this was an assault that contributed to taking his life, an assault. We're going to show you that putting knees on somebody's neck, Mr. Floyd's, putting a knee on his back for 9 minutes and 29 seconds was an eminently dangerous activity. And he did it without regard to what impact it had on Mr. Floyd's life. We're going to show you that also. Putting him on the ground, we call that the prone position, on your stomach, face down. Putting him in the prone position, handcuffed like this in the first place, was uncalled for and was an excessive use of force, let alone for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Now, how are we going to prove these charges? We're going to prove it, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost by witness testimony. We're going to bring in some of those bystanders that I've referred to, normal folks. They'll tell you what they saw. They'll tell you why they stopped. They'll tell you why they were concerned. They'll tell you from that witness chair. We'll bring them in here. You're going to hear from any number of police officers responsible for training, responsible for what the officers learn around first aid, coming to the care of others. We'll bring in a number of police officers, including the chief of police. But we're also going to bring in various professionals and experts, medical experts, experts in police conduct. You're going to meet any number of them. You'll have here a forensic pathologist, Dr. Thomas, who studies the tissues of the deceased as a forensic pathologist to determine the cause and manner of death. You're going to hear from a pulmonologist, Dr. Tobin. He's a lung specialist, cardiologist, heart specialist, critical care physicians, emergency medicine physicians, internal medicine, and also from toxicology. We're also going to bring in the court Dr. Andrew Baker, who's the Hennepin County medical examiner, who will tell you about what he found. So we'll also bring him in. But we'll also bring in experts who will prove that the use of force here was not reasonable. I mentioned earlier Jody Steger, Chief of Staff for the Inspector General, LA Police Department, and Seth Stoughton. You'll hear from both of them. Now, I've spent a few minutes talking to you about what this case is about. There are any number of things that this case is not about. Maybe an infinite number of things the case isn't about. But one of those things is this case is not about all police or all policing. You will learn from Chief Arredondo when he comes that police officers have difficult jobs. They have to make split-second decisions. They sometimes have to make split-second life and death decisions. In this trial, you're going to meet any number of the men and women from the Minneapolis Police Department who do a fantastic job. They're committed, take very seriously preserving the sanctity of life. I mentioned already Commander Katie Blackwell, Sergeant Carrie Yang, Officer Nicole McKenzie, to name a few. This case is about Mr. Derek Chauvin and not about any of those men and women, and it's not about all policing at all. And this case is not about split-second decision-making. In 9 minutes and 29 seconds, there are 479 seconds, not a split second among them. That's what this case is about. You are going to hear from one of the bystanders, Charles McMillan. And Charles McMillan is going to talk to you about the excessive force that he saw Mr. Chauvin displaying on May 25th. And he will tell you what he experienced in the way that Mr. Chauvin looked at him and the other bystanders who were calling out for Mr. Floyd's life. He will tell you what he saw in terms of Mr. Chauvin never letting up and getting up on his body. You will be able to observe Mr. Chauvin's body language for yourself in the video and determine what that language says to you. So I'm going to show you in a moment one of the videos that you're going to see in this trial, just to kind of tee up for you what will be the essence of what we will be focused on in the trial. I need to tell you ahead of time that the video is graphic, that it can be difficult to watch. It is simply the nature of what we're dealing with in this trial, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see any number of videos from the police officers who had body-worn cameras on. But you're also going to see videos from the bystanders, normal folks, the bystanders. You're going to see these bystanders, a veritable bouquet of humanity, these bystanders. You'll see here a little girl who's wearing a green shirt on the right with the words love on the green shirt. I won't say her name now because she's a minor, but she is going to come and talk with you about what she saw. Next to her in the blue pants is her cousin, who at the time was also a minor. So I won't tell you her name, but she's also going to come in and talk to you. Cousin was taking the younger one to Cup Foods to be able to pick up candy and snacks when they came upon what was happening with Mr. Chauvin and Mr. Floyd on the ground. Next to the young woman in the blue pants is Genevieve Hansen, the first responder who tried to intervene to check his pulse and to check on Mr. Floyd. She's going to come and testify to you. Next to her is a young man named Donald Williams, trained with a security background. He's also trained in mixed martial arts, who was very excited and alarmed about what he saw in the exchange between Mr. Chauvin on top of George Floyd. He's going to come in and testify to you. So any number of these bystanders, and others also, will be coming in to talk with you. And so they come from the broad spectrum of humanity, different races, different genders. You have older people, younger people. But you will see that what they all had in common as they were going about their business is that they saw something that was shocking to them, that was disturbing to them, and it made them stop and take note. Stop and take note. They tried to first, you will learn when you meet them, to intercede on what was happening with their voices. They tried to interject, to exhort, to please stop, to try to get into what we call good trouble just with their voices, because something there was concerning to them. And when that didn't work, you can see any number of them pulled out their cameras to document what was happening, such that it would be memorialized, such that it would not be misrepresented, such that it could not be forgotten. What we'll see this morning will be the footage taken from one of these bystanders in just a moment. And you will learn, with respect to these bystanders, that none of them knew who George Floyd was. They didn't know his history. They didn't know anything about him. All they knew was they came upon an individual that they saw was in some serious distress under the knees of Mr. Chauvin, and it alarmed them.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.